Hey folks, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. Let's discuss the nodes changing signs into Cancer, Capricorn. I had promised to do a video on this topic, so here we are. So as of this recording, the nodes are beginning to inch toward the Cancer Capricorn axis. The nodes will change signs. The nodal axis will change signs in November of 2018, this year. November 7th to be exact, right before the ingress of Jupiter into Sagittarius. So we have a major shift of energy happening at the beginning of November as the nodes of the moon move into new signs and as Jupiter enters Sagittarius. By the way, I've done a video on that already, so if you want to have a look at that to sort of discuss the themes and to get a preview of the energy of Jupiter entering Sagittarius, you can have a look at that. So I'll link that on the video somewhere, and also in the description box below. So we've been seeing with our recent eclipses of the summer of 2018 that we are beginning to make a shift. As I've mentioned before, we could think about the eclipses of the summer just past as transitionary eclipses. We saw that the solar eclipse on July 12, 2018 was in Cancer, and the rest were still on the Leo Aquarius axis, but we could see that they were in that kind of transitionary zone. So we are in the process of beginning to complete this stage of collective karma that we have around the Leo Aquarius energies and how they are expressed throughout the collective consciousness. And I've been talking a lot in various videos here on the channel about the Leo Aquarius dynamic throughout the collective. Perhaps the most recent outline of that would have been my video on Mars in Aquarius conjuncting the south node of the moon, and we also kind of dipped into some of that on the video I did regarding the full moon in Aries at the end of September. By the way, folks, if you'd like to keep up with the weekly content on the channel, definitely hit notifications so that you can keep up with anything that might be of personal interest or benefit to you. So issues around how we have been expressing the energies and living out the collective karma of Leo Aquarius have been coming up recently for consideration because of the fact that Mars in Aquarius has been triggering the nodes, and we've been going through a series of, let's say, karmic releases having to do with anger in the collective on the part of people who have historically felt excluded, like they have not really belonged to or were not really treated as equal members of the Aquarian collective on the basis of race or class or gender or sexuality or whatever it is. So we've also been going through, especially symbolized by Mars at the Aquarius South Node, we've been meeting karma around our collective use of technology. And without getting too esoteric, as I've said before, I've spoken about how Mars engaging the South Node has been triggering other timelines on the planet in which we have paid very, very serious consequences for our use of technology because we had divorced technology from, let's say, our spiritual integrity, and we had forgotten. And many of us are still forgetting the ultimate bio-spiritual technology of the soul in a human body, the ensouled human. And perhaps humanity needs to be reminded of that as we move toward more incorporation of AI, and perhaps we need to be reminded of this before we accept the notion that we all need to become cyborgs. But I digress, folks. So in terms of the North Node in Cancer, we're going to have to begin thinking about how the qualities of Cancer are going to act as corrective remedies or mechanisms for the shadows of the Capricorn South Node. So with the South Node in Capricorn, we're moving into a period of dealing more directly with the unresolved karmic energy of Capricorn, and how, as a collective, we have approached the Capricorn archetype and sign principle. So when we analyze nodes, we approach the South Node as an energy which needs more conscious navigation. So the Capricorn sign principle needs more conscious navigation. So the emphasis in terms of the unresolved karmic energy of the Capricorn South Node is very strong, because we have Saturn in Capricorn and we also have Pluto in Capricorn. So as the nodes change signs into Cancer Capricorn, as the South Node changes signs into Capricorn, it is especially energized and strong because we have Saturn, its ruler, the South Node ruler, in Capricorn, and we also have Pluto in Capricorn. And we have Saturn dancing in a conjunction with the Capricorn South Node from about April to September, October of 2019. And we also have Pluto conjuncting the South Node in April 2019 as well. So we also have on the horizon, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn in 2019 December, going into 2020. And of course, the beginning of a new synodic cycle between Saturn and Pluto happening while the South Node is in Capricorn. So lots going on here, right? Now, why are the nodes of the moon important? Let's just kind of step back a second to assess why the nodes of the moon are important. Now, please forgive me for sounding somewhat technical here, but the nodes of the moon have everything to do with the collective basin of human experiences on the planet, of people who have lived in various fractals of time. So the nodes from a collective perspective have everything to do with the basin of collective human experiences of people on the planet in various time fractals. So the points at which the moon crosses the ecliptic, the north and south nodes as we know them, energetically relate to descension and reascension. So the so-called descent of the soul into physical matter or embodied form, taking on more density, and the reascension of the soul into, let's say, the higher vibratory realm of spirit, where the soul assimilates and carries forward the experiences of embodied living on Earth. So the North Node is about carrying forward the experiences of embodied physical life and integrating that within the broader soul experience as the soul as a whole entity moves toward more realization of itself. So the North Node is always about the realization of more spiritual potential, more development and growth, taking the past, integrating it, resolving our relationship with it, moving forward. So the North Node is said to be the sort of future trajectory that the soul has decided for itself based on its assessment of its previous experiences or past experiences, though we know that, of course, future and past are somewhat constructs dependent on what slice of time you're in, but that is for another discussion. So people with the nodes in a particular pair of signs in their chart belong to a collective class of people on the planet. So we could say that there are group soul lessons for the population of people who have the nodes in a particular pair of signs. So their individual life journeys help to complete karma around a particular pair of signs, and they contribute that learning, that individual journey of learning, to the wider collective consciousness on the planet. So there are specialized lessons for people who have the nodes in a particular sign pair. So people with the nodes in Cancer, Capricorn, and also people who have these signs emphasized in their charts in general are essentially resonating now with the nodes being in the Cancer, Capricorn axis. So they are contributing their individual life lessons to the resolution of energies along the Cancer, Capricorn axis within the collective. So with the South Node in Capricorn, especially with Saturn and Pluto there, as a collective, we are looking at where we have given up our authority. So we see that where we experience Capricorn and Saturn as, let's say, imposed external control from institutions, where we collectively experience authoritarian impositions of control in all aspects and facets of our life, we are actually facing lessons about how we have given up our own personal and collective authority. So we are dealing with the karma around this business of being spiritual adults, and spiritual adulthood is the higher expression of the Capricorn sign principle. So the South Node in Capricorn, along with Saturn and Pluto in the sign, represents a matrix of energy that is here to allow us to face the dissolution, the wearing down, and the restructuring of institutional forms on the planet that are not in line with the overall trajectory of us assuming more spiritual adulthood and responsibility for ourselves, rather than allowing the powers that be to make our decisions for us. Or let's say we are facing where we have abdicated our responsibility as a collective. So Saturn and Capricorn have to do with responsibility, with growing up. And we're facing how and where there has been a distortion of the Capricorn sign principle within the collective consciousness, as we have not assumed our own inner spiritual authority, So when human beings begin to assume their own inner spiritual authority, there is no question that our relationships to various institutions on the planet will change. We won't be giving up the human being's natural, organic tendency for self-directed inner spiritual authority to be at the mercy of various kinds of imposed control. So as an example, let's take the global pharmaceutical industry. There is no question that we're going to be seeing more restructuring there in years to come. The pharmaceutical industry, in many respects, is an industry representing where, to a great degree, we have given over our power to corporations manufacturing medicines, as we unthinkingly or uncritically take whatever drugs are advertised as being good for us. So we have given up our authority in many respects as it relates to how we interact with the pharmaceutical industry. So let's talk about the sign of Cancer. Cancer archetypally has to do with the realm of childhood experience, home, when we're still kind of close to the mother or the caregiver, when we are still, in a sense, children. And Capricorn has to do with maturation, adulthood, standing on your own 2 feet as an adult in the world. Now, our experiences as children set the foundation in many critical ways for our experiences as adults. So energetically, in the collective, what is happening as the North Node is in Cancer and the South Node is in Capricorn, or will be in these signs, along with Saturn and Pluto in the equation, is that we are essentially redefining the childhood phase as the basis for a different kind of collective adulthood. So up to this point on the planet, adulthood in the collective has rested a lot on certain ideas of success. Human adulthood has been conditioned by a very patriarchal orientation to living. So in this nodal cycle, we could think of it as a kind of recalibration of sorts, beginning the maturing process again from childhood to adulthood. We are redefining the formative values and the formative foundations for how we express adulthood in the collective. So let's talk about the ways in which the sign of Cancer, the Cancer North Node, points us forward. The tribe, developing a stronger consciousness of emotional belonging to the human family, heart-centered care and protection for each other. The more we protect, include others, and amplify our sense of tribe, creating more, let's say, lateral, heart-based kinship networks with each other, the more we strengthen our position collectively relative to the authoritarian and hierarchical institutional control that has been historically imposed on us on the planet. The Cancer-Capricorn axis raises issues around the power of the tribe, the power of emotional ties and kinship groups versus the power of the institution. So we see that set up in the astrology as Pluto conjuncts the South Node in Capricorn and opposes the North Node in Cancer. So with Cancer, we are invited to have less rigid boundaries between us all here on the planet. So we are invited to expand our sense of kinship, especially in the face of policies, institutional policies, which would like us to do otherwise, which would like us to maintain a sense of being cut off from each other, and would like us to preserve or maintain our sense of separateness and boundaries. So, it's like, oh, you can't cross that line because I'm superior to you, because I'm better than you. So where Capricorn would like us to preserve boundaries, Cancer is asking us to navigate primarily through our emotional intelligence. Now we can look at children. Children, when they are very young and have not as yet internalized Capricornian social dictates, when they haven't internalized class consciousness and a kind of very hierarchical view of the world, they are naturally welcoming of people. They have a simple emotional intelligence, which is more welcoming of people and not so eager to create these boundaries and divisions. So with the nodes in the Cancer-Capricorn axis, we're going to be seeing the tension between home remedies, Cancer, versus things being packaged up and manufactured by huge factories and corporations. We're going to see things like the tension between work-life balance, or the tension between work and life, and how we integrate and come to a greater work-life balance. The importance of family, of sustaining meaningful bonds versus work structures which essentially squeeze the humanity out of us. So we will no doubt be questioning ideas of success, and especially when those ideas of success undercut our human relationships and prevent us from having emotionally meaningful interactions with others. We're going to be seeing a lot of the aspects of corporate culture, that's Capricorn, come up for review as we question and continue the process of redefining our social values. How important is it to work our way to the top at the expense of our emotional and physical health and at the expense of nurturing human relationships? We're going to be seeing the tension between corporate practices which introduce environmental or social harm versus the need to care for and protect all sorts of species on the planet. The Cancer North Node is saying it is time for more care and a return to the simplicity of that kind of care, the basic Cancerian instinct to care for and preserve and protect and nurture life. We're going to be seeing how we can foster more integration of the mother and father principles in the collective, bringing these two things into balance. Now, a corrective mechanism for us on the planet means less patriarchy, and patriarchy here in the widest sense. The patriarchy which very much still underpins our institutions and their values. We're going to be seeing a questioning of laws and rules and social regulations that are emotionally unintelligent. We're going to be cultivating a consciousness of the need for regulations, that's Capricorn, and rules that are humane because they are underpinned by a kind of Cancerian emotional intelligence, not just this hard letter of the law. We're going to be seeing a heightened instinct which wants to nurture and protect each other from abuses of power. So those are just a few things to think about and to ponder as we move into the nodes changing signs and as we enter into a new part of the curriculum and as we enter a new or evolving curriculum of sorts here on the planet. All right, folks, so that is a rendering of the collective significance of the nodes changing signs. For more discussions like this, definitely subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time, talk soon. Bye.